But let's get to the NFL. This is a pretty interesting topic. Tom Brady and the Patriots will face the Colts. It just so happens.
Really
it is. I think it's a good one. And it just so happens that, I don't know if you know this, Skip, Brady's first career start was in 2001 against the Colts.
I did not know that.
Brady beat Manning 44-13. You did know that in that game. Since then, both quarterbacks joined a very select group with great career starts, including Andrew Luck. Take a look. These are all the quarterbacks who've had the best career starts. Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, Aaron Rodgers. So let's stay there. Stephen A. Smith, when the Pats head over to Indianapolis, who needs this win more, in your opinion?
Me personally, Kerry, Skip Bayless, I'm of the mindset that the Indianapolis Colts need this more than the New England Patriots, simply because of their inexperience compared to New England. Regardless of what circumstances the New England Patriots find themselves in, when they are clicking on all cylinders, they can go anywhere and beat anybody. They've got a first-class organization. As far as I'm concerned, they're America's team, as you well know. That's how I feel. They have they have one of the greatest coaches ever in the history of the game in Bill Belichick. They have one of the greatest quarterbacks ever in history in Tom Brady. And I think the combination of that, along with an elite corner like a Darrelle Revis, a Browner making the kind of contribution he can make, a Wolford back in the lineup healthy as well, as opposed to what he was last year when he had to be out. All of those things taken into consideration, I think you look at the New England Patriots, they're tried, they're true, they're tested. So even if they lose a game like this, it doesn't matter. As long as they make it to the postseason, I'm not concerned about them at all. And don't get me started with Buffalo and Miami leading me to believe that they got a shot at catching the New England Patriots in the AFC East. I don't see that happening. So the New England Patriots will go to the playoffs. And once they're in the playoffs, they have the kind of personnel that knows how to weather the storm regardless of what the confines are that they're playing in, hostile or otherwise, Skip. And I think they can handle it. Whereas with the Indianapolis Colts, I think it's time for Andrew Luck and the crew to step up and beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. You believe in them. You see them playing big-time football, and then they go to Pittsburgh and wet the bed against the Steelers. This is some of the things that they've done, and those are the kind of things that I'm concerned about with them. You've got to step up and show that you can win these kind of games. They've lost to Denver and Peyton Manning. They've lost to Chip Kelly and Philadelphia. They've lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And so when I look at it from that perspective, they need to win all the games they can win, Skip, to make sure they do everything they can to secure some semblance of home field advantage. This is what they need to do, and I think that's why the game is more important to them than the New England Patriots at this juncture.
You actually made a lot of good points, and you surprised me with how good some of your points were. But I think you're missing the biggest picture point here.
And what is that?
And that is why New England needs this game far more than Indy does, and it's about closing schedules on both sides. New England's closing schedule post-Sunday night is twice as tough as Indy's closing schedule. So for the Patriots, they need this game far more if they're going to have a realistic shot of winning the AFC. They're going to need home field playoff advantage, number one priority, against Denver. They don't want to go back to Denver where the nightmare occurred for Tom Brady last year. I'm not sure they want to revisit Indy this year in the playoffs. Obviously, they handled Andrew Luck and company easily at Foxborough last year. I'm not sure it would be so easy a second time around this year at Indy, no matter what happens on Sunday night. But Stephen A., think about this. If by chance the Patriots lose Sunday night, all of a sudden they have to go home and face Detroit. Then they have to go to Green Bay against that bad man that is Aaron Rodgers. Then they have to go across country to San Diego. That's no walk in the park. Then they come back home to play a Miami team that just flat out kicked their behinds in the opener down in Miami. Then they have to go back to the Jets, and the Jets almost beat them in Foxborough. The Jets will be no cakewalk in the second to the last week down in New York and New Jersey. And then finally, they get to close against Buffalo. That's the only one that you would just flat out give them. My point is, if they lose to Andrew Luck on Sunday night, they would be in danger, and I don't think it'll happen, but they would be in danger of losing 6 straight games because every one of them will be dicey from there on. Now, let's look at Andrew Luck and company. How lucky is this, so to speak? Because let's say they lose Sunday night. Then they get to stay home and play Jacksonville, and they get to stay home and play Washington. They do go to Cleveland, but if Indy's a real contender in the AFC, they can win at Cleveland. Then they come home to play no quarterback Houston. What an easy division Andrew Luck is in right now. Then they get to go to Dallas. And you know how I feel about the Cowboys at Jerry World. I never trust them, and they just lost 2 straight games at Jerry World. And then the Colts finish at Tennessee, which has become a train wreck. So so if they lose to the Patriots on Sunday night, could they still go 11-5, 12-4? Sure they could, easily. But I don't love this closing schedule for the Patriots.
I've got Indianapolis finishing the season, Skip, at 11-5. I think they'll lose one of their last 2 games, whether it be, against Cleveland or against Dallas. I think they lose one of those games.
I hope so.
I think they, and we'll see what happens. But I got them going 5-2 over their last 7 games. I look at the New England Patriots, Skip Bayless. Let me tell you something right now. I think they beat Detroit on their home turf. I think that they beat San Diego in San Diego, and I think they close out. I think Miami will get its comeuppance because of what they did against New England in the opener. The Patriots will be waiting for them for that game, obviously assuming everybody is healthy. If Gronk goes down, for example, all bets are off. But what I'm saying to you is that I definitely think that they're going to get their comeuppance. I think the Jets will be tough at MetLife Stadium, but the Patriots will find a way to close the deal, and the Buffalo Bills will not win in New England to close out the season.
I'll buy that.
So I look at the New England Patriots right now. I can definitely see them literally winning at least 4 or 5 games. The worst case scenario is them being 11-5 or possibly 12-4. Do I think what this comes down to, Skip, is do you believe that the New England Patriots are going to host the AFC Championship game in Foxborough? I do not believe they will. I believe in all likelihood it may be in Denver. But I believe that Tom Brady and the New England Patriots will go to Denver and beat Denver in the Mile High City to go to the Super Bowl. That's what I believe.
Wow. Okay. And by the way, as you ran through their closing schedule, you happen to leave out one game at Green Bay. Does that mean you're conceding that to the bad man?
I'm not conceding it, but I'm leaning towards the bad man that is Aaron Rodgers winning that football game. Yes, I am leaning towards that, but I'll make that decision when it's an appropriate time to do so, which is probably the Friday before the game.
Remember, you're complicating your new pick to win the NFC North because now you've got Detroit losing at New England, but you have Green Bay beating New England, which would be a leg up for Green Bay in the division race, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, Detroit and Green Bay will face one another again. Plus, they've got several games to go. Remember, it's the bad man. I never bet against him, but I'm not sold on Green Bay's defense. I never have been. That's been my issue with this team. The only time you've ever heard me get on the bad man that is Aaron Rodgers is when he showed up in Seattle. It would not throw in the direction of Richard Sherman. That is the lone time that I have ever said anything negative about a man I believe to be the baddest man in football, and that is Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, I got it. Now, the one bigger picture point that I do agree with you on is Andrew Luck needs this game more than Tom Brady does, just because Andrew's trying to come of age. Andrew obviously threw 4 interceptions at Foxborough in a playoff game. He threw 3 interceptions during his rookie year against Belichick in a regular season game. So he's thrown 7 picks against the Jedi mind tricks that are Bill Belichick, and so he needs to figure that out for himself. But if we're talking team versus team, the Patriots need this game far more than the Colts do, given their closing schedules.
I don't believe that the Patriots need this more than the Colts do. I don't believe
you must have more faith in the Patriots than I do at this point.
I do.
All right, as Skip just mentioned, this is the 3rd matchup between